Okay. So I know at least one person gave me a like. That doesn't necessarily mean anybody is actually watching, but if you are watching, let me know because I'm going to be looking at that chat because I kind of want to know if anybody's here a little bit. But you know what? I think that really I'm just gonna start talking and people can come if they want to come because that is just how it is. So here's the thing. I am live now. Keep me company in the chat. Okay, so here's hi Key Smasher. Hi. Okay, I have an audience, at least one. You're my therapist for the moment. Not that I need a therapist. I need a person that is just to know that there is somebody listening, because otherwise it makes me feel like why talk if there's nobody listening, as Rod Stewart said. Or wait, was that Rod Stewart? You know, the young hearts be free tonight. Time is on your side. Yeah, I think that's right, Rod Stewart. So, I had a bit of a run in today with gay church ladiness. And oh boy, this thing with the gay church ladies, it's always annoyed me. But you know, when I was young, it was easy enough to just kind of go ahead and ignore the fact that the gay church ladies were out there because I didn't have to pay attention to them. We had this like thriving gay scene in terms of art and music and everything like that. And it was really cool. And we could just hang out and be gay guys with each other. And there was always the guys that were like, oh my God, homophobia. Oh my God, Bush wants to ban gay marriage. Oh my God, gay marriage, gay rights are human rights. No compromises for equality. And I was like, well, he said that maybe he would be fine with civil unions that would do the same things. And they were like, no compromises. It has to be marriage. And I was like, okay, you're dumb and also kind of unattractive and old. That was, I mean, that's really all I was thinking at the time. And I'm not saying that that was the appropriate way to behave. Like, I'm not saying that I was some sort of enlightened person by thinking that, but that was my attitude when I first started really thinking about the gay church ladies a lot. It was really during the Bush years. Now, granted, there were a lot of blatantly anti-gay people that were my age, and I would run into them, and it was annoying. But I did not think that the gay church ladies were helping. I did not at all. And I just, it was a frustrating time. That's why I ended up hanging out with a bunch of really elitist counterculture gays that were very smart and thought that they were better than everybody, and were, you know, like they were the people that were generally the only gay guy that they knew that was actually interesting. So the thing is, most gay guys are not that interesting. Now, most people are not that interesting. I would say probably less than 20% of people, probably less than 10% of people are particularly interesting. Now, that's fine. You don't have to be particularly interesting to be a good person. I know plenty of good enough people that are not particularly interesting. I don't necessarily talk to them a whole bunch, but I absolutely love it when they giggle and listen to my stories and let me talk and talk and talk. And they do. They, oh boy, do they. You know, it's not like one guy gets 13,000 whatever subscribers on YouTube because all of these people are interesting, you know, even if it was just 500. That's still this weird, you know, ratio of things. So most people just aren't that interesting. Perfectly fine. Most people do normal people jobs. They want to be entertained. They don't want to be an entertainer. I never really had a choice in that because my parents were kind of psycho. My dad always just expected his children to be geniuses. That was just this assumption of his. And my mother wanted her children to perform, and I mean literally perform for the other parents and stuff. Like she wanted us in plays so that the other parents could go see us act in these little plays. And she made us all play musical instruments. And she was thinking that she could get us all to do like little trios where my one sister would play the piano and my other sister would play the violin and I would play the cello. Like actually, that's what my mom was kind of like. So it never occurred to me not to be this like entertaining person because that's literally how I was raised. So I am like that, and I'm also very competitive, and that was just sort of instilled into me by my parents and by my sisters. Like my sister, who's 9 years older, she's a ruthless, horrible, horrible person. She's a horrible human being, to be perfectly honest. And she was ruthless with me when I was little, but I'll give her some credit. She was doing it to toughen me up for the world, and she knew that she was doing that. And I actually am kind of glad that she did that a little bit. Like, she was so ruthless that when I was seriously like 4, we would be eating nachos, and she would grab all the good chips first, you know, like the chips that had the most stuff on them, and just laugh at me and my other sister, even though she was like 9 and 7 years older than us. So there was never any slack given to me in my family. And I just learned that I needed to compete. I needed to be interesting. I needed to be entertaining. And I got in this weird gifted program, and I was in all these extracurricular activities and everything. And then finally I got to high school, and I went to this alternative high school when I was 14, and I finally came out as being gay. And it was at that moment when I realized that I could fit in with this new tribe. There was this actual identity that would embrace me for what I was always hiding, which was my homosexuality, which, you know, I only vaguely realized was a thing prior to me being about 11. It was really when the Marky Mark commercial came out that I fully realized that I was definitely attracted to men. I was never attracted to women. It's never like I was like looking at women and thinking, ooh, I would be able to have sex with her. And in retrospect, I did have a crush on Jean-Claude Van Damme, but I didn't realize that's what it was. I know it's silly. It's a very funny person to have a crush on, but hey, they would show his naked ass in movies, and Jean-Claude Van Damme's naked ass is worth looking at, for the record. Just for the record. It's so I am drinking, so I will be periodically taking sips of beer. So when I came out, I was all of a sudden supposed to hang out with like the other gay people at my school, which meant some lesbians. And of course, I had met lesbians already. Like, I already knew lesbians just like through my mom and my sister, who's 9 years older than I am. Because lesbians are kind of everywhere in like Seattle and in the Northwest, like in Portland and Seattle, there's lots of lesbians. It's not hard to find them. So I had met some. They're not cool or anything. And in middle school, there weren't any openly homosexual males, period. They're just, because I went to an 80% black middle school, and that was the 90s when it was really, really not okay to be gay at all. Like, gangster rap culture was at its peak, and it was not okay to be gay in any way in the 1990s. So when I went to high school and it was okay to be gay, and there were openly gay peers, it was like I was supposed to hang out with them, and I kind of did. Like, I made friends with them in the way that I can make friends with anybody. I can be friends with people. You know, I used to have a lot of friends on YouTube when I first kind of started hanging out on YouTube with and going to live streams, and I don't remember most of them really that well. Like, I have specific memories of certain people that I invited onto my channel who were particularly nice, or something was notable about them. But there's all these smaller channels, like people who don't even have 1,000 subscribers, or certainly not 2,000, who I really don't remember much about. And I was like kind of friends with them. And I feel almost kind of bad about that, but not really. It's just how things are. Like, I'm not saying I would be mean to them. It's just I don't really remember them that much. So I was placed in this situation where I was supposed to be friends with the other, 10 to 15 openly homosexual males at my high school, because that's how things were. And that's fine. Like, I would still encourage every young gay male to be at least somewhat friends with the other openly homosexual males at their high school. Do it. That's worth doing. But it's not really that I actually liked more than one or two of them. And I noticed that a few of them hung out with each other seemingly only because they were gay together. Like, they both liked Madonna, and that was about the extent of their, relationship. And that's kind of pathetic. In the 1990s, everybody who was gay, they liked Madonna, they liked Janet Jackson, they liked, I don't know what else they liked. Maybe a little bit of Mariah Carey. It's hard to remember. Just female singers. Any female singer, they liked it. They liked the Spice Girls. Oh yeah, they would deny it, but they liked it. So I didn't really. I had to be convinced to like Madonna, and I had this one friend who was very, very big on convincing me to like Madonna. And he ended up successfully getting me to like Madonna, and I still do have a great appreciation for a number of Madonna music videos in particular, because she did make some great videos, like the Like a Prayer, Vogue, the song La Isla Bonita is a very pretty song, anyhow, whatever. So over the course of starting to mix with gay guys, like, I had this one friend who was a senior when I was like a freshman, or maybe he was a senior when I was a sophomore and he was a junior when I was a freshman. I actually liked him, and he was pretty smart, but he was kind of a total asshole. And then there was the other gay guys who, there weren't that many of them, and I just didn't really like that much, but I didn't really like that many people in general. And but I would still have to kind of hang out with them sometimes, and we would go to these like queer meetings and gay things together, because it was always okay when you're in high school and even your early 20s, dating, especially if you're gay, and it's like really, really hard to potentially date. Like, it's not so hard now because you have the internet, but we didn't really have the internet in high school in the late 90s. Certainly not with like the type of like profile photo dating application things. Like, all we really had was mailing lists at the time. You can't really date over mailing lists with no pictures. So we had to like go to these weird little, it would be like this like queer youth movie night, and there would be like 2 movies being shown at the queer youth recreation center in the gay neighborhood. And so we would go, and one of the things I noticed, and it was weird because, okay, one of the things I noticed was that there was these people that were always, and I've talked about this before, like this is something that I've brought up numerous times, because Seattle in the 1990s was one of the really, really gay cities that had a lot of like gay nonprofits and everything. Like there was always like some gay or lesbian person to come into our school and teach us about safe sex or something, because that was still a big thing. Like AIDS and everything was still really a big thing in the 1990s, and that kind of a thing. So, in the 1990s, we we would have that kind of community organizing outreach. Now all of that community organizing outreach seems to probably just have stuff to do with trans non-binary people, and that's everything I hear. Like I have friends that are in formerly in high school and now in college. Of course, Matthew C is the person that I'm mainly thinking of, and that's kind of what it sounds like. Like it's just like a little club for Tumblr people. It's like all that it is, and they don't really talk about anything. Well, we used to actually have the purpose of like, trying to keep young guys safe and like dealing with people who had been kicked out of their home and everything. That was an actual thing at the time. Well, it's not really anymore. Well, I started noticing that the same people who organize these things, it was not that many people. Like there was these adults who seemingly every time you would go to one of these like queer dances or queer game nights or queer movie nights or whatever, it was always the same people. And there was like just a few of them. And I started to realize that it was like they were professional gay people. And they didn't seem like they were very cool or interesting people. They seemed kind of pathetic to me. But then I thought about it and I was like, well, that's not entirely surprising, because most of the people that I know who are gay people are not very interesting. Like they're mostly boring. They're mostly not trying to actually get good at doing anything. See, one of the things you got to do if you're going to be a gay guy and you're going to ever succeed in anything in the world, you're going to have to suck it up and compete with the straight guys. That's just how it is. And are you going to have a disadvantage competing with the straight guys? Yeah. Oh, yeah, probably. Sometimes that disadvantage can work to your advantage, because they're going to underestimate you. And when they underestimate you, they get stupid. And when they get stupid, they get sloppy. And when they get sloppy, you can get the best of them. And I have done that on YouTube. You guys might remember a little guy named Cognitive Thought. He had another thing coming when he tried me. But the thing is that you have to deal with that, and you have to move on. You have to persevere, or you're never going to get interesting, because nobody's going to cut you any slack just because you're some gay guy. Like just because you act whiny and act like a victim or something. No, girls can kind of get away with that, sure, but even then it doesn't ultimately serve them. Like feminists can get away with that. Like you can make yourself into this like professional female victim and milk that for however much it's worth, but that only lasts for so long, even then, with a girl. With a gay guy, no, you can't do that. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. But I can understand why most gay men are scared to realize that they have to just compete with the straight guys. And it doesn't mean that you got to just be a straight guy. You don't even have to act straight. I certainly don't. Just be good at stuff, and be good at stuff in a way that is people can't argue with. Like in high school, the things that I was really, really good at, and this sounds silly, but there was two things I was really, really good at by the end of high school. Three. I was a good writer. I was always a good writer. I was a good writer since the day I got in high school. And that's what the teachers liked me a lot. Teachers really liked me because I was a good writer. But next, I became really, really obscenely good at ping pong, and I ended up being my high school champion of ping pong, which is it's silly, it's funny, but ping pong is a serious game. Like if you're actually really, really good, when you get to the point where every hit is a slam, like it's actually really intense and you're putting spins on all of the serves and that kind of. I didn't get to the point where we were putting spins on the slams that we were returning to each other. I wasn't like that level of Jackie Chan crazy good. But I was my high school champion. I guess I plateaued because nobody could ever beat me anymore. And then the other thing I was good at was electronic music DJing. And back when it was all vinyl and you had to sync the beats with each other. And I did drum and bass, which is really hard. And uh, there's no arguing with a good DJ mix, like a good transition from one record to the other. Like if you do it wrong, you massively hear it. It sounds like they call it a train wreck, and you can hear it. You don't hear them that often anymore because there's programs and stuff, like things that make it easier for DJs. But I was one of the few people that could successfully do it on vinyl records, and that's the hardest to do. And obviously, ping pong, you can't argue with who's the best ping pong player. And writing's a little bit subjective, but I think I was a pretty good writer. I like to think, you know. So I was competing in these things that I was actually good at, and um, I always stayed like that, and that's one of the reasons that I like fagging out. I like being a gay guy. I like having gay friends, but I like to find the other gay dissidents. And I've always kind of been like that. Like I'll be around all the gay guys and I'll, you know, I'll have sex with them if they're particularly hot and they throw themselves at me and they're kind of mediocre. Sure. Why not? Doesn't mean I'll like them. I've had sex with so many gay guys that I didn't particularly like that were hot just cuz it was easy, you know? Um and thus I think that there was sort of this divergent path that went along the way. And what it was that I grew into somebody that actually really cared about my artistic life and career and forging a new culture and identity for the community around me and being one of the people that was really making things happen. And I did that. I absolutely did that, and I was around all of these people. And then there were the people that started out being mediocre, boring gay guys that I kind of knew who just like were afraid to ever compete and actually get good at anything. And remember, most people are never really going to be all that good at anything anyway, but these guys didn't even try. And then they maybe grew up into being professional gay people because there was nothing really else for them to do, because like what else are they going to do if they don't even try to do anything? So maybe they started being professional gay, like they competed over the opportunity to be one of the few professional gay people. So they're actually really attached to this thing, this little route that they are, this track that they are running, from mediocre gay guy that didn't really do anything in particular all the way to professional gay people in young adult, professional gay person in young adult life. And then those people end up working in nonprofits and things like that. And then sooner or later, they end up as a gay church lady. And that's what I'm here to talk about today, because I am quite annoyed with these people today. I'm gonna pound the rest of this beer, and I'm gonna look at the chat a little bit. Because I needed to catch you guys up on like what inspired this little drunken rant. Okay. Okay. So there's 5 people watching, including myself. I'm going to imagine 4 people around me eager to hear what I'm having to say. So, the thing is with me and the gay church ladies, it's the same thing with me and all of the mediocre gay guys. I have compassion for these people. I really do. I think it's because my longest friend, that sociopath guy that I had to cut out of my life and stop being friends with, he was this. Like, he was all of these things. And I think he's going to grow into a gay church lady. He's not quite into the gay church lady thing yet, but he's bordering it. And he was mediocre. He never competed. He didn't. He rode on my coattails, and he admitted it. He confessed to me that he felt like he was always playing second fiddle to me, which wasn't entirely unfounded. Like, he would hook up with my sloppy seconds, and almost everybody he ever met, he met through me because he has no social skills. Like, I go to a party and I talk really loud. Everybody hears my voice and hears that I'm saying something, and they like want to come talk to me. And I was, naturally good looking. I didn't really have to try very hard to be good looking. So I was very confident. And he was good looking. It's not like he wasn't good looking, but without me, he never really got talked to because he's this like quiet, shy looking guy, and he's part Asian. And Asian, I guess people just think that Asian people are antisocial or something, maybe because there's like this stereotype of the shy Asian person that doesn't want to talk to you. And then he would never approach people. So like, how would anybody know that? I don't know. So him being my friend for a very, very long time, I knew that I figured because he was actually a very messed up person, but I figured I should have compassion for people that are like that. It's like, hey, not everybody's dazzlingly socially adept. Not everybody is all that interesting. Not everybody is all that good at impressing people. Not everybody can do the things that you can do, Prince. It doesn't make them bad people. Some of them have messed up things in their past. Like, this guy had been dramatically physically abused, and I had endless sympathy for it, and he did what he could to exhaust it, which he eventually did. And now I just can't care anymore because he abused me too much for too many decades. About 2.5 decades too much of abuse from this guy. And it's just like, okay, you have to get over the fact that, apparently your dad used to beat the crap out of you when you were a toddler. It's not my problem anymore. It's just not. So, the thing is, train of thought, come back. No. So, okay, not everybody's really going to be all that interesting, and that's fine. And I have to have compassion for these people. So as I developed into being a gay guy, I was very elitist for a while in my early 20s and everything, but I started to realize that I wanted to have fun. And if I were to have fun, I would only be able to have fun. Like, I went through a period where I only cared about the opinions of people that I thought were cool, which was a mistake ultimately, because I didn't think that many people were cool, and I never will, and I never have. I'm actually a snooty asshole. Like, I only like maybe, 50 people at a time in the whole world, and that could change. I have about 50 slots reserved for like even for people that I don't actually know, like, you know, celebrities and everything. And they can always go down the dark side. You know, I used to like Sarah Silverman. She used to be really funny, and she went to the dark side. So I realized that these mediocre gays who were professional gay people in their early 20s and largely end up becoming gay church ladies, apparently, I realized that I had to be cool with them, and I had to at least pretend to like them and coexist with them and hope that they liked me. Hope that they liked me most of all, and I would just never discuss whether or not I liked them as long as I could, because why do I have to discuss whether I actually like these people? I mean, they don't do anything. It's not like they're making music. It's not like they're making theater. It's not like they're doing anything cool that deserves my approval. No, no, no. They're just kind of helping out, form community. They're just forming community. They're just, you know, they want to help with the community organizing. And it's like, okay, you mean the community organizing that forms around people like myself and the other people that actually provide artistic and intellectual stimulation to our community, and you're just going to facilitate that? And they're like, yeah, we're the community people. And I'm like, okay, well, personally, I'm not going to tell you this, but I don't respect that. I think that that's fucking stupid, because if you have to just go on and on about how you're the community people, that's a little bit transparent and phony, and it doesn't seem to me like it's real. It seems to me like I'm the community and you're just kind of like my little facilitator of the community that I am, you know, magnetically attracting with people that are like me. You know, and for the record, this is a very important thing to keep in mind, especially as my late 20s progressed. It wasn't just me being the magnetic force of community that was attracting people, because that wasn't entirely true at all. But the people who really, really were the magnetic force of bringing the community together, they were people that I hand selected. And that is fucking true. Like, I was a part of multiple different collectives in the San Francisco Bay Area who, through regular shows and events and the regular contributors who would regularly perform and do artistic projects like theater and music and that kind of a thing at these events, were almost exclusively people that I brought in. I found these people, I scouted them, I made friends with them, I did collaborations with them. They learned to trust me as an individual. They were like, oh, this Prince guy, he's really talented. And I was like, yeah. And so I introduced them to the community organizer people who, like, to credit them with something, they did do the grunt work with a lot of these events. They did the kind of things that I hated doing. Like, I don't know, booking the venues and flyers and things like crap like that, that I hate doing. I never do that stuff. But all the like artistic talent, like the stuff that made these things worth going to, that was all me and my friends. I was probably one of the 1 or 2 or 3 most important artistic Rolodexes, because everybody fucking trusted me, to be honest. And then there was the community people. There's the people that did all the community stuff. And they were always kind of separate. There was only like 1 or 2 of them that I actually really liked. Really only one that I can think of. And I worked with him a fair amount. And I want to think that he's a good guy still. I really do. I really do. I don't have a problem with him right now. Right now. But he can give me a reason. And maybe I'm going to send him this audio. Like, maybe I'm going to send him a link to this so that he can take a listen, because I'm mad. I'm really mad. And he deserves me to be mad. And he knows he deserves me to be mad. And he knows that if he pisses me off, something's going to happen. And it's not that I'm going to do something, because I'm not. It's going to be that without my approval, the cosmos is around him is not going to be the same as it once used to be. And I don't think he understands just what that means. And I don't think that there's any explanation that I can give to him about that. And I say this because, no, okay, I want to back it up. I actually think that maybe he does understand that a little bit. And I do, because this guy was so important in throwing these events, and these were well attended events. There was always hundreds of people at them, and they happened multiple times a year, every year for many years. Like 5 years straight or so, I was involved in them, and I always was involved at every one of these events with hundreds of people at each one. And this guy always wanted me to be at them, and he always wanted me to be doing something, and I was like one of his go-to guys as a performer or as a DJ or as anything. And if he wanted to know like who to get to perform, he would ask me. Like, I was important to him. I was. So he is he's not a gay church lady. He's not. He isn't. But there's gay church ladies around him, and they kicked me out of a group today. A group for this collective, this like artistic collective that I've been a part of since about 2007, 2008. And I really did perform at dozens of events for there. I DJ'd, I organized, I taught a workshop for these people. I was one of their, like, sometimes they would, like, there's like 1 or 2 times when they were being anal at the door, because these are expensive events. Don't get it twisted. Like, these aren't just events that are like, oh, you go there and it's like $5. No, this is an event that you go there. It's private party. You're supposed to have an invite, and it'll be $20 to $30. And I would go there, and I'd have 3 people with me, and then the person at the door wouldn't know who I was, and they'd try to be rude about it. And I'd be like, I think you don't know who I am. And they'd be like, well, I don't care who you are. And I'm like, yeah, well, you better start caring. And there would be a little bit of drama at the door, and then eventually somebody would find somebody important, and they'd be like, oh yeah, that's Prince. Let him in, and don't talk to him like that, okay? And then for the rest of the night, people would be apologizing to me. That's what it was actually like at these events, because I did so many things for so long. And there's hundreds of people involved in these things. Like, it's not like I was the only one. But I was one of the more important people, because I was pretty much the only music producer. Like, if there was a drag queen that was going to sing the drag queen's first original music song or something, it would almost unanimously be me that made the music for it. And that happened numerous times. Like, it didn't just happen once. And you got to keep in mind is that, like, these are like, drag queens are people that are often, nobody ever paid attention to them. Nobody ever cared about them. Nobody ever, like, them. Some of them are really, really poor. And then they decided that they could like start performing for their new gay family. And everybody's like, oh, that's so cool. Oh, and they're like, oh my God, you have a song? That's so cool. And everybody wants to be supportive. Well, I was the real support. I actually made the music for them. And I did that for a lot of people. So the people who understood what was really happening really knew that they better respect me. And I would run audio last minute for them. And I would work the door for them if they needed it. I would work the bar for them if they needed it. I would clean up if they needed it. I would decorate if they needed it. I worked a workshop for these people. And of course, there were the mediocre gays that mixed in this. There were the guys that, weren't really that good looking. They never really did anything. Like, there's a number of these guys that I have no idea what they actually do. Now, granted, some of that could be just me being oblivious because I don't care. Like, maybe they're slightly interesting people. But I don't really think so. Sorry, I'm just swallowing. Hold on. I don't really think that these are interesting people. And the reason why is because they weren't interesting. They never post anything interesting on Facebook. They probably, like, I know that one of the guys works in tech that I'm thinking of, but he must not work in a high paying position in tech, because I was maybe going to live with him for a second. And there were like there was like 5 or 6 different roommates in this one place, and it wasn't really all that great. It was affordable enough, but um, looking back on it, he must have not been making all that much money. So like, I don't know what his position actually was. And there's a lot of positions in tech that are, it's like, what were you, like the tech secretary or something? It sounds mean. Because he was a perfectly nice guy. Like, he was also kind of weird, though. There was something weird about this guy. That weird thing where he was kind of mediocre and acted like he had issues with me, because I don't know. It was like this guy that I'm thinking of, his claim to fame was that a lot of people thought he was hot. He had a very hot body. He always had six-pack abs. And it's true, he was sexy, and there was definitely a period when I probably would have fucked him. It's not like I was trying to. And like, there was a lot of guys that we hung out with that if it was like really, really easy, I would have had sex with. And often it was. Often guys just kind of threw themselves at me. It was totally easy to have sex with them. And anybody from that collective remembers that. Anybody remembers, like, whoa, there's these moments where Prince is just getting the hottest guys. And I didn't ever see Prince ever pursue any of these guys. It seemed like all of a sudden Prince is just kind of like making out with this guy. How did that even happen? And I'm like, I don't know. So if anybody ever thought that I had some big crush on them or something, I mean, I don't know if they did, honestly. And I never pursued guys. I didn't really have to. There weren't really any guys that really, really interested me. And that might be an issue of mine. I might have not known how to find the guys that actually interested me properly. Maybe, whatever. Okay. But anyhow, none of these guys were really all that interesting. They didn't, I don't know what they actually did as people. I just don't. And I still don't. And I don't know why they are the like community organizers for this thing, and why they have been for so long. And I don't know if it's some big creepy pyramid scheme that has something to do with them getting money from Burning Man, and Burning Man being some crooked organization that's directly funded by the intersectional feminists, aka the communists, aka sort of the Democrats, aka the party. Maybe it's a trickle down pyramid scheme thing, and these people are somewhere in that trickle down pyramid scheme. I don't know if that is it, but it does, like, that would be an explanation for how weird it is with these people, because they don't do anything. Like, they're just boring. And not only are they boring, but they don't leave. They don't go away. They've been around for a really long time, and they've just been doing the same exact type of events for well over a decade, it seems, in many cases. And they don't really evolve. It's always like glow paint and naked man and blah, whatever. And I feel a little bit used for being involved with them, but whatever. That's my own fault if I was. But these guys now, the really particularly mediocre ones, there's the one guy that I might send this to, who I have love for, and he knows why I do. I don't have to go over that if I do decide to send him this. Because there was something magical about him. And for the record, out of all of them, he was the best looking, and had a really big dick. And I say that because he would have his dick out a lot, and it was a thing. I never had sex with him, and I don't think that it would have been impossible for me to. I think it might have been very easy for me to have sex with him at a few times, but I didn't. Aside from his looks, there was a certain magical thing about him as a person that made him a great social conduit. And I chose not to have sex with him because I actually liked him as a friend. And I didn't think that we could be in any sort of relationship. And I thought that having sex would just trivialize our friendship. So that was only one guy, though. He was the only organizing type person that I actually cared about out of all these guys. And I don't think that he became a gay church lady, but it seems like all of the other ones have. They're all well over 40 by now. Some of them are probably over 50. And there's a handful of them. There's, a number of them. And they are just gay church ladying out. They're just turning into the most awful gay church ladies. They're so lame. They live in San Francisco. They have no contact with anything outside of San Francisco and San Francisco gay politics and like queer politics. And they I don't know what they actually think. And I don't know if it would be possible for me to learn what they actually think, because I feel like if I were to go there and I were to try to like talk to them, I'd be like, hey, do you know that Trump is like, he really isn't anti-gay male? Like Donald Trump isn't anti-gay male. Okay, the feminists certainly are. The feminists certainly hate gay men, and I can show you endless evidence. There's nothing less feminist than a man who loves other men. I don't know how much more simple I need to make that explanation, but I don't think I have any way of like actually contacting these people and like having the conversation to see if like the NPC meme is coming to mind with them. Like they're very they kind of remind me of the Borg, because they're all like into Burning Man, and they pretend to be like open-minded, but it's kind of like, oh yeah, you're open-minded in terms of which species you're gonna assimilate into the Borg. You're open-minded in terms of like, oh, these are all the type of people that I'm going to make sure think exactly the same way as me. I'm open-minded. Anybody can say the same things as me, and I'll be okay with anybody saying the same things as me. Like that's their level of insanity. And it's just, it's so frustrating. So, and here's the thing. These gay church ladies, who I really think are just mostly mediocre people. And we know for a fact, we know for a fact that the Democratic Party has been paying people to campaign for the Democratic candidates for decades, not decades. No, see, I'm starting to drink. No, for years. Like we know that that was discovered for certain that the super PAC of Hillary Clinton was paying for people to go around on social media and basically call Bernie Sanders supporters misogynists, which I remembered very clearly before that news officially became a news story. I remember being, fucking Prince of Queens, fucking blue chip homo over here, like guy that actually mattered. Like guy that, like, when I walked into a room, people looked at me, even if I wasn't even all that cute that week or month or whatever. And it was because people knew that I was somebody that mattered. Like it was, that's just what it was. And it was because of all of the actual artistic projects that I did and the people that I worked with directly artistically. If they didn't like me and they didn't like my music, well, they certainly liked at least one of the drag queens or something that I worked with on music. So that's kind of what it was. But for supporting Bernie Sanders. And I was one of the people that was actually friends with women. And they knew that. I'm pretty positive. I'm pretty positive that they knew that I was friends with every type of person. And it was just like, what? What is going on? And then, of course, oh, they are literally being paid to act like that. Of course they are. Of course they are. And I was accusing them of being paid before the news came out. I knew that they were. It was clear to me. I was like, no, there's no way that some of these guys actually are believe the stuff that they're saying about me. Like somebody told them to call me a misogynist, and I can only assume it's somebody from Hillary Clinton's campaign because this person is being illogical. And if they want to argue with me about politics, they're going to lose. And they are. They are arguing with me, and they are losing. And their only solution is to call me a misogynist. They have to be being paid. Turns out they were. Well, some of those same guys never gave it up, and they just still do the same crap. They still post the same stupid stuff. They're like trying to get people to phone bank for the DNC so that they can swing some house seats in California so that the DNC can retake the House. And they have this like little like posts about that, and I try to post, and I'm like, hey, just so you guys know, the DNC is kind of the most awful thing ever. They're very anti-gay male, which I know you'll care about. They also are completely economically incompetent. I think it's $21 trillion worth of debt that Obama mostly racked up. That doesn't speak highly, and it also doesn't speak highly that he had to overturn the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948, thereby legalizing the usage of propaganda on the American people so that he could lie about the state of the economy. It also doesn't speak highly of him that he had to that he bankrupt the Democratic Party itself, which Donna Brazile says. And also, you know, people say that Obama did well by the economy, but do any of you in San Francisco see it? I believe that there's a massive homelessness crisis in San Francisco, and the housing market is massively dropping at the same time. Do you want to know why that is? That's because the Democratic Party, the mayor, Ed Lee, who was a Democrat, he let a whole bunch of foreign investors build condos and luxury apartments and tear down affordable housing, which made a bunch of homeless people. And now those luxury apartments and condos aren't being moved into. And I post these things and I link these stories under these, you know, gay church ladies that are posting in the party forum. Like this is like a party forum that they're posting this, trying to get guys to go phone bake for the Democrats in this party forum. And I post, I'm like, hey, just so you know, there's kind of a lot wrong with the Democrats. You kind of shouldn't actually be supporting them. And I linked my sources. I linked multiple news stories about all of it. And I would have linked more. Well, what did the gay church ladies do? Well, you can probably imagine, because of course they're the community organizers, which means that they're the administrators of these forums, which means that they can just ban me. And that's what they did. That's exactly what they did. They banned me. So I guess however much money they're getting paid to be little NPC internet campaigners for the Democratic Party, like I don't even think it can possibly be all that much, considering the Democratic Party is bankrupt. Like it's literally bankrupt. and has been for a while, and they lost the last election, which means that they're even more bankrupt. So it can't be any more than a few $100s. They sacrificed being on good terms with me, like the guy that brought so much to their community and their parties, with all of my endless work and all the people that I brought in. And like, do they just not understand that I was not irreplaceable? And maybe that's true, actually, now that I think about it. Like, the only guy that I think really understood that I was the special one was the guy that I'm thinking of, because he always showed me so much extra positive vibes. The guy that was good looking with the really big dick. just for the audience. He was always like so cool with me specifically, and made sure to clarify to people why I, as an individual, was particularly important. But a lot of the people, it's like they just didn't get it. Like, it was like, why are we supposed to be nice to this Prince guy? He's not all that nice to us. And it's like, he doesn't have to be nice to you. He is a music producer that works with members of the community, making music, like writing electronic music and producing it and having them sing vocals over it so that they can perform it in front of the group. He will take hours and hours out of his weeks to do that with people, to give them a chance to fulfill a dream that they've always had. And so that guy understood that. But I think a lot of them, I think that they didn't really care. Maybe. I think that they just wanted to be a part of these parties so that they could go to the parties, but they didn't really understand why the people went to the parties. And ultimately, people went to the parties because the music was good, the performances were good. If the music wasn't so good and the performances weren't so good, the parties wouldn't be as well attended, ultimately. And I think, and there was a lot of very mediocre music, a lot of very mediocre performances, and a lot of very mediocre DJs, and people would still go. And so I can understand why maybe these people wouldn't quite understand why it was important to have people who are actually good. But if you have only crap, like only mediocre stuff for too long, it all goes south. It all just goes downhill, and people stop being interested. And yeah, I mean, it's like all these people have to bring to the world after a while is just being gay church ladies, just being offended by stupid stuff. And doing whatever, like being little police of whatever, like the moral order is that they're supposed to enforce. They're not thinking for themselves, which is why they couldn't answer a question. Like, a church lady decides to be offended by a metal band because somebody told her to be offended by them. It's like, is that metal music that you're playing in your car? And it's like, okay, yeah, technically this is metal. Well, it needs to go away, and I'm going to call the police. Why? Are we breaking any laws? No, but I can hear you. Oh yeah. Well, how can you hear me? Well, I was walking back into the church because we're going to have the Tuesday night meeting for divorcees, and I could hear that you're playing metal music. It's like, yeah, but we're only like we're like a block away from the church, so I don't think it's going to interrupt the meeting. Well, I don't care. I don't want you anywhere near the church. Okay, why? Because metal music is bad. Okay, why? Because they told me on the TV that metal music is bad. Now, is that church lady being paid to run the meeting for the divorcees? Maybe she is. Maybe that's like literally her job. And maybe the people who pay that woman with from the evangelical church or the whatever church was actually telling her that metal is this horrible thing that she needs to make sure doesn't get anywhere near her church. So maybe it was literally the exact same thing. In this case, it's like telling people that the Democrats are just demonstrably horrible. Like they've done every bad thing that a political party can actually do, is akin to metal music. And they had to get rid of me and not explain themselves. They got rid of me. They didn't say why. They didn't say that they were doing it. They didn't give me a warning. And it's just such a sad instance of the mediocre people. And you know, like if the guy that I'm friends with, that is my good friend, does listen to this, like he knows what I'm talking about. Like those guys that whoever banned me and whoever fussed, you know, like Kyle's mom from South Park, you know, the one that's like, what? They're mediocre. They're not interesting. They don't do anything. They never did. If they liked me, they only tangentially liked me. And if they liked you, they didn't really know you. I knew you. I was your friend. I was one of the only people that was your friends. You know that. So yeah, it just bums me out. All right. Oh, it's Space Pan. Space Pan, do you want to come in here? Space Pan, tell me if you want to come in because I can send you the invite. I do you know what happened? Do you know what happened? There, okay, I forgot to even say this. There is some epic new levels of Jack Dorsey of Twitter fuckery. For one, somehow our cat's gay, our little gay triarchy compadre, our regular gay triarchy um co-host person is wait, where's my window? So um somehow our cat's gay was literally kicked out of our gay triarchy chat, and I don't know why. I just don't know why that happened. I think it's very strange. I think it's very suspect. I think it's very strange. He didn't know why. He didn't mean to leave. He was just kicked out. The other thing that happened, and maybe this was deliberate, maybe this was like actually totally deliberate, and I don't realize that this person hates me. But Feral Cat, who also is a regular guest on the Gay Triarchy, like, you know, has been on the Gay Triarchy like 15 times or whatever, and I've talked to him a ton, and we didn't have a fight or anything. He has me blocked on Twitter. All of a sudden, I'm blocked, and I keep being I keep I've found at least one person that I have accidentally unfollowed. I was no longer following Dieter Lukem, who I granted I hadn't looked at his Twitter feed in a while or anything, but I have no problem with the guy. Like he's cool. I'm cool with Dieter Lukem. He's kind of cute too, for the record. Dieter Lukem's a little bit cute. So yeah, I think that what's going on is some major fuckery from Jack Dorsey, the CEO of um uh Okay, so it does not look like anything more is going to happen, and I don't know if I really have all that much more to say. Okay, I'm looking at the chat though. There's people watching. You guys got some questions about gay church ladies? I'm gonna chew on a little racist stick that I got. How about that? And ask me some questions. No, isn't it crazy though that that Twitter might be trying to sabotage the gaytriarchy? We got to make a Discord once and for all. I didn't want to make a Discord for gaytriarchy. I really didn't. I hate Discord. But you know what? Maybe I hate Discord simply because of like Jim Medicare's gay ops or whatever, like his stupid, that's what they call it. So I'm going to reappropriate the term. They're a little like trying to frame everybody crap that they do on Discord, like getting into people's servers and lying about what's on the servers, or like planting doxes, or just saying that there's doxes, or apparently they, from what I've gathered, they drop like kiddie porn on servers and then call people pedophiles, because they call all sorts of people pedophiles, and it's like I don't know how they would potentially know that unless it had something to do with pornography. Because like I don't know, did they did they actually I use Discord now. Yeah, I actually use Discord. But okay, you know, Jim going around calling people pedophiles, which for the record, if I ever do like run a gay Cherokee live stream, pedophile Discord, if I ever do run that Discord, it's going to have a very, very strict no pornography rule, because I'm not going to risk this notion of people dropping child pornography into a server. Therefore, Jim and his little minions get to call everybody pedophiles, because they do that. I've seen it. And yes, Prison Island Head, the vendetta that Jim has against the skeptics is strange. Yeah, it's absolutely strange. It's absolutely not even natural seeming. It's almost as if the skeptics, in quotes, hasn't even been a thing for well over a year, and he's just doing it because he has some reason to keep doing it. Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why I don't know he's very smart man, very smart man, very smart man that was definitely starting to need money and opened up a Patreon right before he started lying about a bunch of people. Right before he started lying about a bunch of people that used to be his friends. So, yeah, you know, there's never going to be any porn allowed in my stupid Discord at all. Any porn. And if there is going to be anything related to gay Cherokee that has porn, because I don't even really look at porn. Like I'm not into porn. I don't like it. It bores me for the most part. Though I have to say, I have been oddly addicted to, when I'm listening to videos, like videos that I don't necessarily actually need to look at. I've been looking at bodybuilder flexing video things, and not even really like trying to. It just shows up in my recommended, and it becomes this like weird addictive thing, and it's weird. But yeah, I think we gotta like start using Discord. Unfortunately, I think that Discord actually might be a pretty good social media platform for the type of people that we are and what we do. And I think that the big social media companies might be sending in little mercenaries after people to discourage them from using it, because ultimately, like, and now that I start to use Discord a little bit, it's not really that much different than Facebook. It's kind of like Facebook where you can talk to people, and and you have to download an app. That's about it. Like, that's about like the main difference as far as I know. So maybe it could actually be competition to Facebook. So yeah, because the sooner those stupid things go down, the better. Spaceman, you're not going to come in here, are you? Because you could if you wanted to, but I'm probably going to wind down. And Carlos says, "Oh yeah, Prince. Oh yeah, Carlos. What?" So, Carlos, that thing that you talked to me about the one time, I actually did do the thing that I said that I was going to do. Okay, Spacepan is going to come. We're going to have Spacepan in here. It's going to be whatever night it is, Gatriarchy, a Tuesday night. I have to put on my headphones though. Spacepan, your link is sent. All right. Let's see. Is this working? Okay. Okay, so looking at Twitter. Well, let's see. Oh. Okay. Spacepan, where are you? Ooh, horchata flavored ice cream. Oh crap. Okay, should. Okay, Spaceman is having an issue because Twitter is messing with our links. Oh no, I can just send it to him on Facebook, maybe. Okay, I sent it to you on Facebook. And I'll send it to you on email. I'm gonna drink this beer. Hi everybody. I'm sorry that it's so a friend of mine Carlos says, friend of mine used to admin for the Liberalists Facebook group was telling me how it's basically gone to shit since the Brits migrated to War Plan Purple. Yeah, Carlos. Yeah, actually, yeah, I joined that Liberalist group for a moment and it was completely taken over by SJWs. The SJWs have conquered the Liberalist group on Facebook completely. And it's so fucking stupid. They know that they've done it too. Okay, this is how Facebook or this is how SJWs conquer anti SJW-ish groups, just to shorten the term. What they do is they shoehorn themselves in based on freedom of speech, and then they start being really 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 annoying, and then they get enough of themselves, and then they stop making any intellectual sense, and they start being like, they quote people out of context and start entire threads to, like, try to demonize this person, and uh like they kind of use the, like, what's it called, the rules for radicals sort of things. So like um um like one of the things that they do is they try to say that dissenting viewpoints against their little SJW bullshit is clamping down on their freedom of speech, but then they try to, like, bully people who just have any sort of, like, it's just like all the same SJW crap again. The thing is, with any sort of, like, group with this, like, you have to actually moderate if you're going to have a few hundred people and expect it to, like okay, if there's going to be a gaytriarchy um uh thing, like if there's going to be a oh, okay, hold on, I gotta send an email to Mr. Pan real quick. Yeah, hold on, he's gonna come in a second. I swear for God. All right, all right, all right. Okay, you're saying your problem was the alt-right, who are the worst. I don't even think that the alt-right are largely even real. I refuse. No, I don't. There's been too many people who aren't, like, actually alt-right, and there's too many people who seem like actors and they never really say anything. I think it's all the same crap. Like, I do. I legitimately do. And remember my term, shackers, people that you can hire to be nuisances on the internet, who will create a bunch of sock puppet accounts, who will stalk people on Twitter, and who will probably create fake Facebook accounts, and they get paid by somebody or other to be a nuisance. Well, looking at this logically, the same corporatists would want, because everybody's trying to act like the alt-right is some, like, actual thing. Um, but I don't think it is. Like, we saw what happened at the 1 year anniversary of Charlottesville. Nobody came. Nobody was there. And it's because fucking hell. Hold on, I gotta actually do this again. D Gegner 01. Okay, I'm still sending this to you. Spaceman. Okay, I just sent it. It just got sented. It's just been sent. Yeah, I don't really think that all that many people are alt-right. Like, I've come into contact with them before. And here's the thing. I don't like pulling this card because it's not that it's not true. Like, it's definitely a true thing about me, but people have no real reason to believe this. Like, when I say this, people could easily just completely think that this doesn't matter. But this didn't always used to be the case with me. This is something that's really, really only come into my awareness in the past couple of years. Really, especially in the last year or so, when I started mostly being completely sober, which is that I'm really, really good at detecting dishonesty at this point in my life. And the reason why is because, oh, I hear you.
Yeah, I just got in.
Sorry, I was having problems. So yeah, people are talking about, the validity of the alt right, and like I still, nothing has led me astray from my conclusion, which is an open-ended hypothesis, which I have informed you of, about like what actually is the alt-right. I really do think that most of it is literally manufactured by the corporatists, and it's not even real. Like, I think that they're somehow hiring people to create a fake ass web presence, like with a bunch of sock puppet accounts, and then maybe even paying some actors to pretend to be alt-right for like a while, and then the actors decide that they don't want to do it anymore, like Baked Alaska. Or like whatever the hell is going on with like Aiden Paladin. That's like sort of what it seems like to me. But I don't know. Like, that is me, like, kind of like there, and like there is arguments to be made. There, you look at, as I've told you about Spacepan, you look at people's videos like, oh no, he's gone. Okay, well, I'll just keep talking like he's not. So you look at people's videos like Black Pigeon Speaks. And Black Pigeon Speaks actually makes a lot of sense about a lot of things. And I can see it. I can definitely see it. But he's about the top tier in terms of like alt-right-ish content. Like, I don't know who else. Uh oh, you back? Hello?
Yeah, I'm back now. I don't know what happened. I was like closing other apps because it was kind of buffery, but
All
I think now
right.
it should be better.
But okay, so did you hear what I was saying? Or did you got disconnected before? So I was saying that, like, I I don't really think that, like, the alt-right still doesn't actually seem real to me. And I say that in the same way that, like, this new wave of supposed LGBT people who are like trying to make pedophilia totally acceptable doesn't entirely seem real to me. And it's not that I haven't seen a few good examples of it. Like, I saw the one girl doing the TEDx talk that seemed like she was like Lolita at age 19 or whatever. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I never saw that one. I mean, it always like people always share around like that salon article from however many years back, but I never felt like that was really a smoking gun as
No,
far as
it's
like people saying it's like a big, honestly, like the Pizzagate angle is what makes more sense. But
yeah. Well, and the thing is that like I'm not seeing anything about pedophilia on in my personal social sphere, and I have well over 1,000 SJWS friends on Facebook. Now, granted, they must have all unfollowed me by now or anything because it's not like they comment on my comments, but but if they did, like if even 200 of the people that I knew were actually seeing the kind of crap that I post on my Facebook, it would be a thing, you know. But I don't. I think that they just unfollowed me. Um, but I don't see them posting about like they certainly post about a lot of stupid nonsense about non-binary crap. Like, oh yeah, they always are doing that, and you know, like gender is a spectrum, and trans children and women are oppressed, like the poor whammons, and like what, like they're always talking about that. That has not gone away at all. But this like supposed new thing where supposedly they're all pedophiles, I just don't see it. You know, that's just not something that I'm seeing. Um, and it's sort of the same with the alt-right white nationalists. I don't really see the actual thought leaders arguing for that. The closest thing that I see to it is Black Pigeon Speaks, but Black Pigeon Speaks doesn't really. He's more of an observer than he is concluder. You know, like he doesn't really say what he thinks should happen. He just says this is what seems to be happening. You know?
he kind of does have that air of like being a little bit removed. And I think it's because he like lives in Japan. So I think he sort of just feels like I started to feel that way since I moved out of America, that it's just kind of like, I mean, it sounds awful, but it's like I don't really care what happens to America now. So it's just kind of like it's fun to watch, and there's definitely a sense of being removed where you are more of like an observer than as someone who's kind of actively manipulating and like participating in the world and everything or whatever.
Hmm. Yeah. So I don't know. I just
I don't know. I
don't.
mean, he's pretty urgent though. Like although he's an observer, I get a lot of that in his video. That he's very like there's a sense of urgency to the videos though, even if it's not always like for a direct political action.
Yeah. 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 I mean, but
But I think also his perspective is a lot more global too, so that might be part of it. Like you kind of have to be very much steeped into like the more local your focus is, the more it's going to be on something direct that's actionable. Whereas if your focus is very, very global, like there's then it's kind of more up to each listener to figure out if they're how or they want to apply it.
okay. Yeah, no, and I mean it's so obvious. Like, okay, so the points that the alt-right ish people, you know, like the alt light or the alt psych, as I like to call them, kind of draw from, you know, like, okay, was Baked Alaska ever actually really alt-right? I don't think he probably was. I think that that was all a little sham just because he was a nobody. He never had anything going for him, and somebody offered him some bucks. And then he moved to LA thinking that he could like pull together some sort of entertainment career, and he decided to try to do that. It's probably what happened, you know? That's
Yeah, and he's a rapper now. Now he is a successful rapper of a kind of success.
wait, are you entirely joking or
No, he legit put out like a music video like a couple months ago.
like a
It's
new
really
one?
funny. I don't know if there's a new one. I don't know if there's more than the one
Oh no,
video.
he had some no, he had some like old shit in the way that like Aiden Paladin had some like old shit, which hey, I don't know that whatever song that Paladin had in that video that Kraut made was actually not all that bad. Though I did hear the Baked Alaska music and it sounded pretty bad. It sounded pretty bad.
It was pretty bad. Yeah, it was. Yeah, yeah. It's almost like whenever you try to go the wholesome rap route, usually it doesn't quite pan out very well.
Yeah, yeah. But like, okay, so like I've released some songs of my own that like aren't particularly great. Now, granted, it's not like I would have ever made videos out of them or released them as singles or anything like that. But I have this like, there's a potentiality that like if somebody were to take the wrong song and find the wrong moment, comb through all of my catalog of released music, they could like make fun of me. And like Kraut tried to do that with Aiden Paladin, and it's like, this is actually not all that bad. She had really bad. It wasn't even so much the recording quality of her voice; it was the mastering and effects. Like she didn't know how to use the right effects to make her voice sound good in a playback, and that's really hard. You have to use many different. You have to use at least like 4, 5, 6 things to make your voice sound like it does in the average song. So like everybody could make fun of that, but it's like, well, yeah, but you don't understand how music production works. But I mean, yeah, the Baked Alaska
Well,
thing.
and it's kind of like the Hollywood effect, right? We're exposed to such like clean and polished and perfected things that becomes kind of, and then if you
Yeah.
look at things that are older, it's like, there's kind of like a cheapness to it. But like the one thing too is like Arc Music Factory, like they get a lot of shit because I mean they should, but like the actual production of a lot of those songs that they make for little kids, like it's actually produced really really well.
Mm. Oh,
Like
like
that's
so.
kind of the greatest shade. Like like Rebecca Black and Friday.
I don't know, but do you know Sophia Grace?
Um, yeah. Sophie, her
My
music's not as good. Her music's not as good. She's not as good. I'm not a Sophia Grace fan.
no, she had that one song that was really funny, the Best Friends Forever.
I don't think I remember that one. It's been a while.
Oh, you
Because
have
I
to.
just
Okay, you have
I
to.
learned who she was, and then I
No, you have to watch.
binged through like a bunch of it. It's
No,
just
no,
like it's
that
like the funniest culture.
it's actually a really really fucking funny song. Like it's no, it's a catchy song too. It's like this like birthday party, and the song is called Best Friends Forever, and she's this like chubby girl, and it's just like really fucking weird. No, you will love this because I know your taste in thing. So okay, so fucking my stupid theories about the or my speculation about the alt right. I've been talking about this for so long, and like if I really really had anything conclusive about it, I would have made a video by now. And ultimately, I don't. Like I don't really fucking know. Like I don't really even care that much. It's just like the only people who really talk about them are people who hate them. As far as I've noticed, sometimes like you can find these like live streams with a bunch of them like sort of talking to each other, and but it's like largely kind of boring. And if like it's like, okay, if Black Pigeon Speaks was here or something, maybe I would be like kind of interested. But then every time he's on a live stream, he doesn't really talk, and it's like, okay, all these other dumbasses are talking. So no, I'm not. I don't really think it's interesting. I don't really find it that much of a threat. I don't feel like, or like, okay, if I am opposed to it, I don't find it that much of a threat. If it is something that does have validity, it's not something that's probably going to pick up a whole bunch of steam if this is the representation that they have. Now, I know that these channels are able to get a lot of subscribers, but I am very, very, very suspicious of how many of those subscribers are real. I'm very, very suspicious.
I would actually lean towards most of it being real. I think that there's kind of there's stuff sort of like at the most extreme and at the top of it. Because if you that's probably fake. Because if you think about it, like if you're going to like impersonate the alt right to make them look bad, like what are you gonna do? You're gonna organize a rally and walk around with Nazi flags and say Jews will not replace us, right? Like that's what you're gonna do. Like that's almost more likely for a fake person to do than for people who actually like think some of their points are legitimate. So I think what happens is, yeah, like basically all of the worst parts of it, I feel like are probably more likely to be fake. Whereas if you have people who kind of like they watch a Black Pigeon Speaks video and they're kind of like on the fence, like yeah, some of this makes sense. I don't know if maybe the strength of his conclusions are backed up by what he's presented, but there's not nothing there. I think a lot of people fall into that category, you know. And then I think part of it is like when treated as like as if like you're some crazy person for thinking that there's some validity to like race realism or whatever, that like there's sort of an effect of being like fuck you, don't tell me what I believe, right? And then the people kind of double down, and then like they're more attached to the views, you know. I think that's a lot of what's happening. So I would wager that, you know, a lot of the measured support, you know, is not fake, that it's actually but it might not be as fervent.
Do you think it's basically this notion where you can't clamp down on free speech because the people that are interested in talking about those things will just find the Underground Railroad?
Well, of course that's true, right? Like you should like it should all be out in the open, and like that's part of the issue.
But do you think that that's what's going?
Stuff,
do you think that that's what's going on with this? Maybe.
Sorry, you cut out a little, but I think I got what you're saying. But yeah, I mean, I think that's what's happening with a lot. Well, it's happening on a very general level in regards to just about every kind of view, that people are afraid to speak, and then, you know, everything kind of gets limited and then like shut off into private little conversations. And then like, since it's not out in the open, there's not as many people looking at it to kind of chime in and add more perspectives and make it more balanced. So I think that's kind of what's happening. It's an irony that by clamping down on quote unquote extremism, that's how you're going to create more of it. You know, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah,
I really think we need to totally destigmatize radical views, like completely. Like, just let people fucking talk. Let people say things and then maybe they'll walk it back later. Just let it.
I feel like Twitter is on a kamikaze mission. Like, Twitter is not even pretending to like want to be a business anymore. Just today, I realized finally. I don't know how long ago this happened. They kicked our cat's gay out of the Gaytriarchy like chat without his knowledge. He didn't know. I had to add him back, and somehow Feral Cat has me blocked.
Yeah, that's really goofy. I don't know. Because so you talked to them and they were like, I don't know how the fuck that happened, and like it's
well,
like...
I mean, I haven't talked to Feral Cat because I can't, because he's has me blocked, but I'm gonna kind of assume that he didn't just decide that he like totally hates me all of a sudden. Like I mean, considering Cats also magically was like removed from the group like around the same time, I assume that this is an elaborate new form of Jack Dorsey gaslighting. Like, okay, we really hate this Prince of Queens guy. We can't shadow ban him anymore, but what can we do? Let's you know, let's brainstorm. Let's make his friends block him. Let's remove his friends from private forums. Like, you know, just like it must be some shit like that, because they've always hated.
I mean, it's funny because I don't know. Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, if you think about it though, like as crazy as that sounds, it's actually not a terrible strategy, like from that perspective, right? Being like, oh, I'm gonna be people out of these groups and have them block each other and see if I can like cause drama, right? Should be easy enough with a group. I don't know, because there's no way to like trace it. Like, how would we even figure out how that actually happened, right?
Hey, can you hear me?
Enough about that kind of shit to figure out how someone would even go about figuring that out.
Yeah, and it worked, is the thing. It had an effect. There were a few weeks when I didn't know that this has happened. Like, I didn't know that Feral Cat wasn't getting my tweets, and he probably doesn't realize that he's blocked me, so he doesn't know. And Cats didn't know he wasn't in the group, so I was posting stuff in the group and I wasn't hearing back, and I was like, what, did all my guys quit? You know? And I think Bacon said that he was like going on vacation for a few weeks or something. So the only people I was hearing from was Liberal Hammer and you. And so I was like starting to be self-conscious about it. So it's a thing. It worked.
Yeah,
like
that's so weird. Yeah. Huh.
It's like
be vigilant then. Like...
Well, no, and do you know what's extra weird about it? And this is where, like, there's this fucking guy who I'm now starting to wonder if this guy was ever actually a fan of gaytriarchy, because like he sends me messages after every gaytriarchy and he says some crap. And hold on, I'm gonna grab a new beer. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I'd normally I would like read the live chat and interact with it, but I'm on my mobile phone right now, so I can't too well. Or maybe I can actually. I'm afraid of accidentally closing the Hangout window again. Talking in the live chat, I like it a lot, and I like having all the different channels like in one space. Like if I had to just choose one platform to just stick on, like I feel like Discord's like the best and most fun of all of them. And like the voice chat through Discord works really, really well too. So, but yeah, to be clear, I'm aware I'm not talking to Prince. I'm just talking to anybody who's still listening right now, because there's several listeners. But yeah, if anybody wants to join my little Discord, there's not really anything on it. It's kind of like an open blank canvas of a Discord, because for it, I just like invite them, so it's a little bit pointless at the moment. But you know, fuck ever. It might, I'll spruce it up someday. So if people want to like message YouTube or through Twitter, then I can send you an invite to that Discord. Because like Discord links are weird. Like you make the invite link and then it expires within, I don't know how long. They're not good for long at all. Because it's how do you just like put a link to your Discord somewhere? I don't know if that's like by design. Seems kind of annoying. But I might just be kind of a noob. I'll have to pull up this video later, like around this time, and see if anybody is like responding to this in the live chat, because I can read it later. But yeah, I actually have a class to teach soon. Maybe, depending on if the children show.
All right, I'm back.
You back?
Yep.
Welcome back.
So, okay. Was I talking about? What was I talking about?
Twitter shenanigans.
Oh yeah, it worked. I don't know. Maybe Feral Cat just hates me now. It's not like we had a fight though. The last time that, oh, I remember. Now I remember.
Nah, I don't think that makes a lot of sense. I feel like
yeah, I think
I feel like he would like confront. At least I'm not the type to just like quietly fuck off and like, hey, I'm gonna
no, it would be
just quietly block.
If he just randomly decided like, you know what, I just hate this Prince guy and I'm not gonna tell Spacepan and I'm not gonna tell our cat's gay and I'm not, like, because I wrote our cat's gay and I'm like, did you know that you're not in the gaytriarchy group anymore? And Feral Cat has me blocked on Twitter. I just wanted, and he was like, I don't know about these things. So I was like, okay, this is some like Jack Dorsey fuckery is what this is. And so
yeah, and it wouldn't make sense like if you have an issue and then somebody asks you about it, so just be like, oh fuck, I thought they're just gonna not notice. Like, okay, I'm just gonna pretend that it wasn't.
And I'm the fucking guy that made it all happen too. You know, it's not like you can, you know, it would be like one of the honey badgers deciding that they fucking hated Karen but not telling anybody. Like, it's just like,
yeah, right, just being like, it's like, fuck Karen.
Like acting like that's
tell her to go get a home improvement project again. Actually, I was kind of like, a part of it was kind of like half hoping she would like start making her YouTube channel like a home improvement one, because she had that video like a few years back where she was like cutting off branches with a chainsaw from her tree, and I'm like, this is kind of awesome. This is kind of refreshing. That's like a weird thing I've noticed, like, because if you start following people long enough, at some point, like sometimes they move to other things, and like Like, for example, Shannon Gibbs was like a guest with the Honey Badgers like a few times, and she was on Loud with Crowder at one point too. And then she actually made a separate like creepy pasta stuff, which I don't know. It's really fun. It's fun to see like, the flavored shift. Not that I don't. Not that I don't appreciate like when she does like political commentary and stuff like that. Like my motto is more is more. I'd like to just see. I'd kind of like it if like for April Fool's Day, all of the YouTubers just like made a YouTube video and like a separate.
In a what?
Like how come PewDiePie doesn't have an ASMR video for April Fool's Day? Like all the YouTubers should make a video that's a different mukbang. You should do a face reveal and do a mukbang.
Like a different style of YouTube video.
Yeah, migrate to some other thing, just like
okay, yeah. No, I could do like a game playthrough thing or something. Yeah, I could potentially do that. But okay,
yeah, there you go. Do like an Overwatch one, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, I've wanted to do that, and I actually have footage that I saved. I have two. Okay, so there's one that was just like a really good game that I ended up saving because I got the play of the game in it. And it was such a good play of the game too. So it went on for like, you know, a massive amount of overtime. Like we were playing overtime for like 3 minutes, which in gaming overtime time is a lot. You know, like anyone, if any of our teams just got the other fucking team off of this one area for any period of time, you know, I think it takes like 5 seconds that they would have to be off of it. We kill them all for 5 seconds and then we win. That went on for like 3 minutes, right? And finally we ended up winning. And then the play of the game was me, and I'm Sombra, the hacker, and she has the best highlight intro because, you know, when it's like play of the game, they show the character and they're doing something or whatever. Like it's like it'll be the sexy guy soldier 76, and he runs up and he hits the camera, and then it pans up on his crotch, and he's like kind of staring down like you're a cameraman that got knocked the fuck out. But what's funny with the play of the game thing when it's Sombra is that she has a play of the game intro where it starts playing somebody else and it shows their name and everything, and then she hacks it away and her little like hacker logo shows up and she steals it from them. And so it's like kind of the coolest thing ever because
that's actually funny.
Yeah, it's really so that happened. And it's really. How can you hear me? Come here. You hear me? Space pan. Okay.
Fair.
Okay.
Maybe you can't hear me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think it's mostly you. I think it's mostly your audio that because it's okay. So what happens is that it's rare when Sombra gets a play of the game, and the reason why is that the hacks don't really register a lot with the play thing, even though the hacks are actually really powerful. But it doesn't really register into the play of the game meter, which is a bot. You know, it just kind of tracks what's going on. And she doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Her gun isn't very powerful. And so it's really rare that she gets the play of the game. But I did this like really good play of the game where right at the beginning of the match, I killed 3 of their characters, including one of their healers, all by myself. Like all of my team was in some different area, and there was 3 of them going in this one area, and they didn't see me coming, and I hacked their healer so that the fucker couldn't heal. And then I killed him, and then I teleported away, got on a health pack to get my health back, and then took out the 2 other ones with my gun. And that ended up being the play of the game. And it was awesome. So I want to put it up on YouTube because it was so good, because it was this like long game, and we were so happy to finally win it. And I got to play the game, blah. Nothing interesting. But the other one was this one particular guy that He started calling me a faggot a bunch. So yeah. That was the thing with that. I don't remember what else. What else? You say something. Spaceman. Hey, you there? Oh, so you were saying some stuff about the alt right, and I was gonna say is that it annoys me. Sometimes I watch these alt right videos, and they don't get everything wrong. Is the thing, like the race realists and everything, like when they talk about various different populations having on average lower IQs and stuff like that, that actually does match up to my understanding of how genetics probably works. And I've studied genetics. I've taken two different genetics classes. And in my college class that I took,
it's 4 p.m.
what's up?
Hey, I gotta get going. Sorry, I lost track of time. I didn't realize it was 4 p.m. All right,
Oh,
I'll
okay.
talk to you later, though. Okay.
Okay.
All right. See ya.
So the thing about race realism, at least, not necessarily like the alt-right, which oh, okay. So it was a control point. It was on Oasis, just so you know. Key Smasher. Key Smasher, who I want to see pictures of you, Key Smasher. It's such a tiny, tiny little thumbnail. You almost look like you're kind of cute. Can't really tell. Can't really tell. But so the thing is about the all right, when it comes to race realism, which race realism is really just kind of code word for talking about genetics. And ultimately, people get offended when they think about this notion that maybe people are trying to say that some genetic groupings are less intelligent than the other, which is, I mean, I haven't analyzed the data, but on average, it's kind of silly to act like maybe that's not true. You know, like how like how does a species, if we believe in evolution, how do you believe that there aren't certain species and groupings that have sort of more intelligence genes in them? No, it doesn't really make sense. But this is how it becomes really, really complicated. And I think a lot of alt right people don't understand. And there's alt right people that deliberately try to mislead people into completely nonsensical understandings of what the reality actually is. So, for one, every population has a tendency to, like, okay, one of the things that MGTOWs talk about a lot, and I think that this is actually probably true, which is that females, while males are more likely to want to just have sex because males like just enjoy having sex and getting off. It's just sort of what males do. Females are more likely to only seek having sex with the top 20% of eligible males within their population. Women look for the males that are attractive, and there's usually only going to be about, I don't know, a few of them. Um, and the females of the population try to find those, right? And so that means that species are going to naturally up, I don't know of a better term for this because I'm starting to drink. I'm getting a little drunk at this point. Upbreed, they're going to refine their genetics. That's how species evolves. That's how it works. Like if you are a woman, especially if you're short, you might actually be a little bit more likely to um I mean, like, women go for guys that are taller than them, and um no, I don't have much to say about that actually. I'm sure that tall girls don't like going for really short guys, so never mind. But you know, there's this mixing component that actually does go into sort of the rules of attraction. Some of the alt-right guys will say, and they really will say this and they'll stand by it, that mixing of races is bad and that it leads to ugly children with health problems and blah blah. That's okay. That's just not true. It's not. There's definitely a potentiality for phenotype mixing, which would lead to undesirable results with dominant genes over recessive genes that would maybe not be particularly good. But overall, the thing is that within a specific phenotype population, the emergent genes are going to be the dominant genes that are actually the better ones, and things that genes that become dominant genes are the ones that are tried and true, and that's how they become dominant genes. It's not like it happened for no reason. It's not like it just came about because these were horrible genes to have. Dominant genes became dominant genes because they worked on baby after baby after baby, keeping it alive, and it would breed and would keep alive and it would breed. And that would be what ended up happening. And so within that population, then there's this sort of, I don't know, elite population within it. And if that elite population breeds with an elite population of another phenotype, then that's sort of the prince marrying the princess scenario, which we've seen all throughout history. Like, even in Disney movies, we see this trope of the really, really pretty princess that doesn't really look that much like the prince, but they end up getting married. And that's a genetic phenotype grouping of the elite within the one population, like the best specimen that they have mixing with the other one. And that actually has a scientific precedent behind it. But the problem with the alt-right genetically is that they're trying to say that this crossover between the genetic elites shouldn't be happening, and that instead the genetics of one population should just mix with the other genetics of the same population, even if it's not going to be an elite. And what's dumb about that is that, like, okay, so let's say the American white person mixes with the Turkish prince or something. So the Turkish prince would be kind of mixed, right? He'd be a little bit Middle Eastern, maybe a little bit of African in him, maybe a little bit of uh Indian, maybe all those things that would be in the Turkey blood pool. And then the American princess or whatever, the white Westerner, she would largely be British, maybe a little bit of French, maybe whatever she is. Well, sure, their baby's offspring, it's going to get a little bit darker than the princess in terms of looking at it, but it's going to have the dominant genes that she had. And so whatever is in the babies that were dominant, that were good, that were very, very strong genes that kept that species alive, is going to be more likely to be inherited by the offsprings or the offspring of this coupling. And there's an actual reason why opposites attract, and why there's good looking people from every phenotype grouping, aside from groupings that have been like very, very, very isolated, and then it's kind of hard for other groupings to find a whole lot of interest in them. Maybe I am not going to mention what those are, because that's I don't like talking about such things. I don't like thinking about that. Certainly not on air on my channel. But the alt-right and any sort of like ethno-Puritans get it wrong when they act like mixing genotypes is some sort of bad thing. It's just not true. It's just if mixing genotypes is a bad thing, or phenotypes is a bad thing, then how does evolution even make sense? It's just dumb. Makes no sense. And there's so few people that can even articulate that in any way, shape, or form. Because the people who want to talk about this stuff seem to be people that either just want to feel really happy about themselves because of the fact that they're white, and they just don't want to be black people because they think black people are stupid, and they want to say that they're better than black people because according to them, black people are stupid. Or they are people who don't really think that much about the actual science. And I just, because I don't see anybody who's opposed to the alt-right who talks about the actual science, and who talks about how the cross-pollination of gene pools is actually relevant to human evolution. And it's not that hard to say. It's not that hard to bring up, So yeah, that's what gets frustrating about it to me. And when people say, "Oh, the race realists, they're dumb, they're wrong," well, they might be dumb. They might certainly be dumb, and they might not know what's true about what they're saying and what isn't true about what they're saying. Yeah, I will absolutely definitely make that claim. Like there's these people like, who supposedly worship the book The Bell Curve, like Sinatra says, or something. Like we're supposed to actually believe that he actually really read it, which I don't believe that he actually did, because I know the guy, he's not really that smart, and I don't think that he actually sits there and like reads The Bell Curve. But supposedly he actually read because I've looked at The Bell Curve, and it's really, really dense, boring scientific reading. It's not something that most people want to read. And I actually have a background in like understanding genetics to a certain degree, and I just don't believe that he actually read it. I just don't. There's all these people like trying to like kind of like act like they think that the bell curve must be right about everything, and blah 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 blah. And like, okay, maybe it is right about a number of things. I'm not going to say that it's not, but it seems like the fanboys of this book, The Bell Curve, aren't very smart. I don't think that most of you even read it. Like, I think the dramatic majority of you have not even read it, and that's a problem. That's definitely a problem. And then the people opposing it do seem to be opposing it because of emotional reasons, not because not even because they have a problem with the data, because they have a problem with what they assume that this data actually means. And this data doesn't actually mean, like, assuming the worst, assuming that an alt-right okay, assuming that the data in the bell curve means that, you know, African populations and, I don't know, gypsy stupid, assuming that that's actually true, which is maybe what the book says. I haven't read it, but that's what I've gathered from people. But assuming that's true, these people are thinking that this means that people are going to want to mass murder them or deny them human rights or deny rights to members of those groupings, even if those members are good or something. Like they're just going to come up with some reason to be like dramatically pissed off about that. And that's not necessarily true. But the thing is that it ends up being almost necessarily true when you actually talk to a number of these alt-right people who say that they've read the book and they're like, yeah, we're not going to let any N-words into the white ethno state, or they don't say it like that, obviously, but they do say really dumb stuff. Like they do say ridiculously dumb stuff, and it's just like, okay, you say such dumb stuff where it's like, look, I know that there's like Nigerian guys out there who I'd rather have breeding with mediocre white women than you, because you're not interesting. And at least with the Nigerian guy, you know, he's smarter than you, maybe not by a whole lot, but he certainly probably has a little bit better physical endurance, a little bit better physical strength, and a different disease immunities, because disease immunities are a big one. Disease immunities are a likelihood to have a high what's a dominant genetic allele in its favor. And if there's a disease immunity and both parents are immune to multiple diseases, then the offspring will be immune to multiple diseases. And so, like, if it's a choice between a dumbass white guy breeding with a you know, like average white woman and a above average Nigerian guy, I would take a Nigerian guy breeding with her. I mean, anybody would. It would be better. It would like legitimately be better. So that's what the alt-right gets wrong. But like, there's these people that just like they just have no concept of like how genetics actually work, and yet they're trying to make this genetic argument about things, and that's where it becomes really embarrassing, and that's where I don't want to talk about it with either side, because I don't want to like just say, oh, race realism is entirely stupid, because I'm not going to be dishonest at all. Like I don't want to do that. But I'm also not going to act like isolation, like genetic isolationism is going to be good for people, because it's scientifically not. And that bothers me. And you want to know why? Because I'm not a gay church lady or something. If I was a gay church lady, I would just say, blow up the internet. Ah, Satan, blow up the internet. I'm going to have more of this racist stick. Oh. So, I started this stream 2 hours ago. Key Smasher, you want to come in? You want to come in and talk to me? I don't know who you are. I don't. I feel like I remember seeing your little thumbnail. You look kind of cute from it. I'll be honest. That's why I'm And that legitimately is why I'm asking. Okay, I think I'm gonna end this stream. It's been fun, guys, but should not do this anymore. Talk to you later.